I came across this post in the marriage subreddit, and just reading through this, I was like, this is precisely why women are leaving many of these relationships and why women are leaving religion in general, because these relationships are stifling women. They make it so women are supposed to be subservient, and the church does precisely the same thing. And I know that it's Sunday. I know that I'm going to get pushback, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But let's go through this post and see if you don't recognize that this is what is happening and why many women are leaving the church in these relationships. She says, Christian marriage is in chaos. How can my husband, who's 28, and I, 27-year-old woman, fix our communication? My husband and I have been married for about a year and a half. It's been way harder than I imagined it would be. We argue half the time we are together and spend a lot of time not talking afterward. We are Christians and try to stand by traditional/biblical marriage standards. The issue for me is when we have conversations, if I try to express my opinions/preferences, he oftentimes points out that I'm not being a submissive wife because I'm arguing against him. I struggle with feeling understood and feeling like I really have a voice. He has admitted that he's an extremely stubborn person too, so when he decides something, he doesn't budge. Sometimes our arguments are as small as me telling him I didn't eat all day because I was busy or because of stress, and him getting so upset about it that he lectures me for 15 minutes about how I need to eat and there's no excuse for it. He went on and on until I just broke down about it. I hit an emotional breaking point, and if I go to cry by myself, he says there's a rule about us separating during fights, and it's wrong for me to cry alone, which then sends me into a spiral, and I just about lose it. He has told me to get up off the floor and come sit with him, and if I say no, he says I'm not submitting. Or when we went to a wedding and I was feeling socially anxious, he could tell, and he asked me while we were around other people what was wrong with me. I told him I was okay because I didn't want other people to hear our business. Once we left, I admitted I was feeling socially anxious, and he lectured me the whole ride home that I lied to him at the wedding because I said I was okay and I'm not communicating with him. I just do not understand. I work 30 hours a week and take full responsibility for our meals every week. He told me he wants me to work less hours so I can focus on the home more, which I don't mind, but he complains that I care too much about my job. I just work in a print shop. He says this because I'm not willing to give my work less than a week's notice so him and I can go on a trip to visit family back home. I told him I want to give them enough notice so that I'm not inconveniencing everyone at work. He told me I care too much about what they think and not enough about our marriage. He's even brought up that I should find a more flexible job. But I enjoy my job, and I do think it's very flexible. I can give them a day's notice and they would let me, but I don't think that's nice to do that to the company. So I have a standard for myself that I give them a week's notice. I feel so weighed down by the guilt and the stress of long lectures over seemingly minute things, such as what I'm eating in a given day. Emotionally, I'm pulling away, and he can tell. It makes him so upset. So recently, our fights have been him lecturing me that I'm not open with him and don't communicate. I tell him I struggle to. Any advice? Any advice from Christians? This cycle is exhausting. Recently, I struggle to even look him in the face during these lectures, and he says it makes him feel like he's not human to me. I don't feel like he understands how crushed I feel under his words. More than anything, I feel like posting this just makes me feel less alone for a moment because right now I'm drowning and I feel like no one sees me. I'm in a Christian family and it's frowned upon to share intimate details about your spouse like this with each other. All this to say, I see his good qualities as well, and he can be a very caring person. We just need help. Y'all don't need help. You need help because he doesn't see that there's anything wrong. He thinks that your opinions should only come from him. He does not see you as a human being. That's the issue that many of these men on an individual level are having with women, that women are autonomous humans with our own beliefs and opinions and values and things that we like and dislike. Like the fact that she wants to give her job that she enjoys a week's notice because she cares about other people and he doesn't give a damn. So she has an opinion and he doesn't like that she's not just going along with it. The fact that she has emotions when she's being lectured to and she wants to have time to process it, but he doesn't give her the space to process her own feelings. The fact that he's not socially aware that she doesn't want to speak about certain things in public, and instead of just taking the hit, he's going to ask in public and then beat her down that she wasn't truthful in that moment. This, like, to me, I don't see how this is sustainable. It's not sustainable because women do have voices, opinions, and when they talk like this, when these dudes take on this extreme, like, you're supposed to submit, I'm the boss, like, who's going to stick and stay with this for the long term? And the overarching thing that I'm seeing is that this is precisely why women are walking away from the church too, because they are the ones that are giving these ideals to men, saying feminists are bad, feminists are evil, when feminists just want women to have a voice, and women and girls should have voices, but they want to stifle it. So how long will this be sustainable? Markish says, you marry someone who will fundamentally always see themselves as above you. Your very being will fight against this because it's not true. It's not true that men are superior to women, but he thinks they are. So you either have to go along with the BS forever or recognize that trying to live a lie will cause nothing but conflict. Lana Kicks Tail says, yep, this. I guessed what the problem was as soon as she said they tried to live a traditional Christian marriage, and then it was confirmed in the very next sentence. He clearly believes he is superior and what he says goes because he's the man. So either accept this or maybe possibly get into some counseling with their church to attempt to work within these constraints so she feels more heard. Although I'm not sure that'll go much of anywhere considering what apparently they believe is a traditional Christian marriage, and that idea had to come from somewhere. Exactly. Dancing Banana says, another Christian here, your husband is not interested in biblical marriage. He is interested in control and power. If your husband actually cared about biblical marriage, he would care a lot more about loving you as Christ loves the church, and a lot less about reminding you to submit. I just admitted to my husband a couple of days ago that I haven't been eating because I'm so overwhelmed and exhausted. His response was to go buy easy microwave meals, not to lecture me about how bad I am. You need to find someone trusted to be a neutral party, such as a couples therapist. Marriage should not be this draining. This is not normal. He needs to get his head on straight, and if he won't, you will have to make some very hard decisions. Human Ad says all of this. Biblical marriage does not mean we don't get a say or that we should be treated as if we are below men. And Happy Cat says, yes, I'm not Christian at all, but I'm a survivor of abuse, and my 3 youngest kids are all Christian by their own choice. I respect and honor their beliefs. But anyway, my partner makes me food to eat because he knows that eating is a struggle for me. He makes sure that I have something quick, nutritious, and easy on my stomach. I was in a rush yesterday morning, so he made me a protein smoothie to take with me because that's how someone who loves their partner treats them versus just beat them down for 15 minutes. Like, who does this help? And then the person at the bottom, Hobbit with Shoes, says, and make sure that the therapist is a licensed therapist. You can go to a therapist who is Christian, but there are some counselors who call themselves biblical that would expect you to submit to your husband, even while he is being abusive. And that will enable the abusive behavior, not bring you closer to a healthy relationship. She hasn't come back to make any comments that I saw. And she posted this in the regular marriage subreddit, not the Christian marriage subreddit. So obviously people here are not going to be so much, y'all need to divorce. Christian marriage subreddit will probably be like, you just need to pray harder or whatnot. Anyways, y'all go ahead and let me know what you think. And over on my YouTube page, I am aiming to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So go ahead and smash the follow button. This Pakistani lady jumps into my Reddit inbox. She says, "Hi, I love your videos. Wanted to send you a screenshot of a hilarious exchange I had in the misogynistic cesspool of Indian memes. I'm a Pakistani lesbian, to see what you thought. You've given me so much confidence when it comes to dealing with idiot men online, and I thought this would give you a laugh." I so appreciate that so many women of all cultures across different countries are like feeling the community that we have here. So I definitely check this out. And yes, Indian memes is a hot mess, just like the Ask Indian Men subreddit is a hot mess. So here's the meme. It says, "What do you think?" You got these two men having a conversation, and the bold caption says, "Guys, there's a pandemic of single men slowly hitting 30s and 40s and still unmarried. What is going on?" And from the outside looking in, knowing what I know about the femicide rates that happened right alongside with China, where they took out a bunch of the girl babies and had a whole like millions upon millions of babies, girl babies taken out because they prop up boys and men and think that boys and men are superior. This has left millions upon millions upon millions of excess males. There's something like 54 million more males than females in India. And it's because of the patriarchy and because their government and that culture is just dumb and had no foresight. But that's the reason why I think that there's going to be a pandemic of single men hitting 30s and 40s and still unmarried. Plus, you add in all of the toxic misogyny that I see coming out of Indian culture, where they have picked up the red pill misogyny and sexism that's also helping with that. But the crazy thing is, even if there was a perfect match of, men and women, they still wouldn't be able to get married because they don't seem to like women. Anyways, let's look at the exchange that she's talking about though. This person right here named Femboys Are Peak says, "No girl owes any man sexual favor or intimacy. Either approach them, impress them, and make them your girlfriend, or go your own way." And then this person says, edit, "This sub has always been about women, and so it's only natural that women will come in mind as soon as I enter this sub." So that's what this person says. And then this person named Queen Bee, now the name says Queen Bee, but I do believe that this is a man, says, "That's literally not the topic," laughing my butt off. "How did you manage to make this post about women?" And then this is the Pakistani lady that jumped into my inbox. She says, "The topic of men being lonely and single has nothing to do with women, or are you gay?" And then Queen Bee says, "The post asks why men are single and alone and approaching 40s. There are a lot of men, in fact, more than the majority, who are married and still lonely. The point is to talk why they are choosing to remain single. This dude above me started LARPing about how you have to do this or that to get a girl or remain single, which wasn't the question." And then he hones in on, "Or are you gay?" and then says, "Not giving women a pedestal in every stop of their life is gay." So he asked the question. He didn't just answer the question. And she responds with, "If women are in the workforce and can earn their own income, they don't need to be married to men like they used to for financial security. The world where mommy can marry you to your cousin when you're ready no longer exists because the market demands have drastically changed. Men who can only contribute their income and nothing else are just not worth dealing with in the dating market anymore. Many married women live as single parents due to being left alone to manage most of the unpaid labor pertaining to childcare and domestic duties and struggle with the same loneliness as you described and are much less likely to marry after divorce than men. This begs the question, why do men stay in terrible marriages with women? Why do they tend to remarry more? It is because marriage is designed to is it because marriage is designed to benefit men? Now, this woman took the time to type out all of this. Y'all, these dudes are not going to read all of this and reflect on the things that you said. She typed it up. She was reflective. She understands what's going on in their culture. But this is like, He's not going to hear her, but let's see how he responds. He says, the fact that you can't comprehend that men can have a life that doesn't revolve around women is mind-boggling. The 2X Kool-Aid sure did a number on you, buddy. And she says, I don't know what's so mind-boggling about the fact that men can't have a life that doesn't revolve around a woman when their first act of life was coming out of her hoo-ha. Anyways, this was fun. Love to see the self-fulfilling prophecies of lonely, bitter men play out, as I'm sure you're just as delightful with women as you are in this conversation. And then the real misogyny really pops. Women aren't a novelty. You're all a dime a dozen. Acting as if the hole between your legs is akin to the second coming of Christ is a bit pushing it, no? And she's like, whatever it gets you to stay the hell away from us, please. They do not like women. They really don't like women. And it's evident in all of the things that they say to us. Here she is jumping back into my inbox saying, in hindsight, he actually is right. Men owe it to each other to alleviate each other's loneliness, and women do so by creating rich friendships and communities of support within one another. Saying this as someone who has wonderful female friendships and a fulfilling relationship with one. Maybe I speak from a privileged position, but it feels like something the patriarchy has not been able to strip women of, but has thoroughly stripped men of it. These guys have terrible friendships. And I responded, I told her, you also missed an opportunity to remind them that their government girl babies and created an imbalance of way too many men that contributes to them being lonely. They need to highlight how they had absolutely no foresight when it came to like how their society was going to go forward by taking out millions upon millions of baby girls. So the Pakistani lady just sent me that other post out of the Indian meme subreddit. An American Black woman sent me this one from the emotional intelligence subreddit, and it goes perfectly because these dudes simply do not like women. So this person says, isn't the male loneliness epidemic just certain men who are mean? This person says, just random question that popped into my head after watching an animation called Boyfriend Material. Long story short, the man found a hoodie that was able to make him attractive. He finds a girlfriend. The girlfriend comes over to his house and he realizes the hoodie that makes him attractive is in the washing machine. He puts it on soaking wet. The girlfriend rips it off of him and he goes back to his original self. The girlfriend is later revealed she also wears a hoodie that makes her pretty, takes off her hoodie, which shows her original self. And instead of embracing her, the guy throws her out, and the man is back to being alone. Even though this is a cartoon, it makes me realize how a lot of men who complain about being alone are just really rude individuals. I feel like men who are who genuinely have good character aren't really alone, and I don't mean romantically either. What do y'all think? And then this person says, in no way, shape, or form am I just trying to start a man versus woman debate. Just genuinely want to hear everyone's thoughts. No need to be rude here. And then she says, note, okay, so it seems the consensus is that while some men do contribute to their loneliness by not having a likable character, it seems the issue is just so broad that there's not really a specific answer. This person must have gotten beat down in the comments. I wanted to get to this comment from this man named Satan Osaurus. He says, the main issue is that today's society is so alienating. We've done a job at facilitating a cultural landscape where casual socializing is simple and accessible for adults, especially those without pre-established networks. Third spaces, social media, poor work-life balance, conflicting schedules, poor investment in culture and public spaces, etc. Women are affected by the loneliness epidemic as well, but they're statistically less affected than men because women are on average socialized better through the gender roles that society projects on them than men and their respective gender roles. So women have it better because we're socialized better. But at what point does it become that maybe they should change how men are socialized to become friends? For example, emotional expression and vulnerability is often celebrated in women, but when a man does it, it's often criticized and looked down upon in various ways by society at large. The result of this is that friendships among women are stronger and more frequent than friendships among men. And it's easier to build additional friendships when you already have a network of friends. And even if you are a socially capable man, you'd still have to deal with the statistically lower inter and intrapersonal intelligence of other men if you're looking to make friends with other men, which ironically can feel very isolating. Anyway, this issue is endlessly complicated, and even this very verbose comment leaves out a lot. But the reason for the male loneliness epidemic is about more than the dynamic between men and women specifically. And he did a whole lot of talking and said absolutely nothing. But it comes back to, at some point, we're going to have to stop acting like feelings and emotions are in the realm of woman and make sure that everybody has the emotional intelligence so that they can create and have some friendships, because they're having issues with creating friendships among men and women. What do you all think about all of this? Go ahead, chime in. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This woman right here named Mocha Mommy asked this question. She says, serious question. What do you call a man that wanted a divorce, and now that said divorce is taking place, he is belligerent, irate, and doesn't want to sign the papers or pay to file? When they get what they want, they get upset. All right, so she asked that simple question. I don't think she came back and spoke on this post, but it got a lot of traction. I saw this yesterday, and y'all needed to see this too. It's Crystal with the K says, I call him my ex-husband. Did the divorce myself in 3 days while his butt was still sleeping on my couch. You want to tell me you want a divorce on my birthday? No less? Bet, MF. Now he lives at his grandparents' house while my boyfriend is taking me to Paris to see Christmas decorations. I love when the trash takes itself out. Amen. Bravo. Bravo. Karis Valentine Muse says, love this for you. And then Deanna says, I love this for her too. My homie Silky Saint is answering the questions. She says, a man who has no clean underdrawers is what? His FAFO moment wasn't big or grand. It was small and smelly. Once he announced his intention, his personal manservant no longer did the things that made his world run smoothly. No coffee maker prepped, no fresh cream, out of sugar. Molded leftover curry in the back of the fridge that he is too busy to clear out. All of those small details of the detritus of life that women keep up, gone. Suddenly, they realize their power pack has been removed because women are men's social batteries. Draining women of time, attention, and resources is their fuel. She dropped the mic with this one. Y'all needed to see this because when they attach, they are simply, some men simply are draining women of time, energy, and resources, and they don't always realize where their social battery is filled up from. And so this is the reason why so many women will have a glow up once they detach that parasite. And why many of the dudes start to fail and flail and start to go down, down, down because they no longer have that host that they are attached to and draining. Now we have a man. So this person named Joe, and yes, he is a man, even though that's a Christmas tree. This is a Christian man. He says, too much hate and condemnation here. Be careful whom opinions you agree to. What the heck kind of sentence is that? First of all, let us consider that this man in question has feelings too. Apparently, this man is unstable. He needs help in saving, not someone beating on him. He would love to open up towards you, but is testing you if you stay on his side first. If you understand what he does and why he does, which apparently you do not. No blame on you, though. How should you know? This man has been hurt too many times in his past and has developed safety mechanisms which he has not communicated, but is expecting subconsciously everyone to understand. You have to take control of this situation and make a decision for you first. Do you want to continue? If yes, then bring this to a halt. Full stop. I'd highly suggest for you then to watch the movie Fireproof. What this man needs is love and understanding, not a challenge, not a beating. He is broken on the inside and needs healing and saving. Brielle Talk says, then he needs to go to therapy like a man. Remember, the original question was, what do you call a man that wanted a divorce? So he asked for the divorce, and now he's belligerent and irate. And then this dude is like, he was testing you to see if you would stick and stay on his side and understand him. No. If a man asks you for a divorce and you say, okay, bet, he asked, he's getting what he asked for. If he is not able to, work through his emotions and communicate his needs and stuff, then he needs to figure that out before he asks for said divorce. Because at this particular juncture, women are acting like, yeah, go ahead. You got the divorce. You got it. You go take your freedom. So Miss Liz asked the question, do you know this man personally, or are you the man in question? If so, you wanted the divorce, bruh, deal with it. Because the way this dude Joe was talking is like he knew what was going on. So it's like, what are you even talking about? And he says, no, I'm just a stranger to the situation as much as you are, assuming you are just a stranger to the situation just like I am. Are you a stranger to the situation, or are you related to the situation? Oh my God. Oh my God. And then All About Chloe P says, you going around in circles is dumb because no one agrees with you babying the man child. All About Chloe again saying, using divorce to get their way is manipulation and narcissistic abuse. Stop trying to make women your therapist. If he is so hurt as you claim, he shouldn't date or marry until he is healed. You are putting his emotional baggage onto the woman because it's easier to hand it off than to deal with it himself. This is a childish way to garner sympathy for a man who tries to use cutting legal ties as a grown-up way to have a hissy fit. And then Beautiful Rain says, testing somebody you're already married to. Child, he needs therapy, not someone to coddle him. He is an adult who is responsible for his own shortcomings in life. And they wonder why I keep saying it's not safe out here for women. M.L. Mead says, women aren't rehabs for men. Men need to learn that and start taking personal responsibility for their own emotional health. And Joe says, are you a believer in married? Doesn't sound like it. Man and woman become one through marriage. Well, until he asks for a divorce, and she's like, I bet. Carolyn says, are you a believer? Translate to, are you gullible? No sane woman believes your foolishness. I'm married to a grown-up. This next comment could be triggering. She speaks about DV. Beautiful Rain says, a man who wanted control. My ex is currently facing DV strangulation for this exact reason. Told me he wanted a divorce. I agreed. As I was leaving 2 days later, he tried to take my life. It's dangerous out here in this world. Single, married, kids, no kids. If you have a vaginal cavity, it ain't safe. Gingerbread says, wow, I'm genuinely glad you're still here. Hugs to you. I think I'm going to end with this story from Marcy. She says, friend's hub of decades, daughter is almost 40, said he wanted a trial separation. She'd put up with his emotional affair with another woman for many years, suspected he was going to test the real relationship waters and maybe switch teams. She called his bluff, said no to trial separation, and filed for divorce. She's living happily on her own. He's alone and miserable because the other woman rejected his advances and no longer talks to him. Men overestimate their own appeal to their personal detriment. And that's the thing. When a woman is in a relationship with a man, when she's in a side relationship with a man, she's getting the benefits of him having a wife. He is a different person having a wife, even if he's in a supposed unhappy relationship. As soon as he no longer has a wife, all of the things that the wife did becomes you, the side woman's role. And then the side woman's like, no, I ain't signed up for that. So many of these relationships end once the marriage is over as well. And to that makes my petty heart smile. This person at the bottom says, and that's what happens in a world where men sell patriarchy in a progressive world. Women can leave these days. These dudes keep getting caught unaware, and I love that for them. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. I'm still pushing towards 100,000 over on my YouTube page, so go ahead and smash follow. What?